Hello Internet people, my name is Robert, and in this comprehensive Flodesk tutorial for beginners, you're going to learn step by step how to use Flodesk email marketing software. By end of this video, you will know how to sign up with Flodesk, set up forms and pop-ups to collect emails, create beautiful emails from templates, and set up workflows to automate your email. The first step is to scroll down to the description of this video and click on the first link. And you land on this sign up page. If you use my link in the description, you will get a 50% discount off your first year. And don't worry if you already signed up for a free trial, because you can still get the discount. When it asks for the billing information here, all you have to do is scroll down and you have this link, got a code. If you click on it, you can enter this coupon code, tips with punch, all capital letters. And if you apply that, you'll notice that it will apply the 50% off right here. So now you can sign up and get the discount. Oh, by the way, since this is a longer tutorial, you can find the timestamps to each section of this tutorial in the description of this video. As you can see here, you can sign up with Flodesk, and here you need to enter your email address and enter a password. And then obviously you need to re-enter it as well, and then you can create a free account. All right, then you'll receive an email to your email address. You need to there click on the link to activate this account. So here's the email, and you can just click on this button, verify your email, and you should come to Flodesk. Now you need to log in, and this way you are now confirmed with Flodesk, and you're ready to start creating your first email. Now, right now, Flodesk just pushes you to create your first email. You can see here there are some email templates, and you can create your email here. But let's start a bit differently. Let's click on this logo here, and it'll take you to actually the Flodesk dashboard kind of a thing, where you can see that we are inside the emails here on top. Then you have forms, workflows, and audiences. We're going to go through each of these during this tutorial. So actually, I think it makes more sense to first think about how we collect the emails from people. And that's where the forms is useful. So if you click on forms, and then we're going to add new form. And now you have three different options for templates. You have the pop-up, inline, and full page. Pop-up is something that shows up on your website after a certain amount of seconds. Then you have an inline one, which you place again on your website. If I click on them, you'll notice that you place this kind of subscribe form on your website. And then you have a full page, which is actually hosted by Flodesk for you. So if you don't have a website, this would be the way to go. But I think most of us have a website already. And actually, I'm going to go through pop-up and full page a bit later in this video. So if you're interested in those, you can just skip to that. The timestamps are in the description. But I'm going to start with inline, because that's probably the most used one, or at least it's the easiest to set up in terms of placing that on your website. So if you click inline, you have few options here. So you scroll down, you can just see which one you like. But let's say I like this template, and I click to customize it. So first of all, you need to choose a segment. And in this case, any subscriber will be added to this segment, and it's super useful to do this. So for example, if this is an inline form that appears on your page about vegan food, in that case you can type in just here vegan, and you will know that they are part of the vegan segment. You have other options to tag people, but for this tutorial we're going to make it a bit simpler. We're going to just call it welcome. And why we call it welcome is that these people that sign up through this form will actually be part of a welcome flow. So let's create welcome, and then save. And by the way, you can add multiple of those segments. So now we can adjust this template to what we want. We can start with the form itself. So if I click on this text, I can type something like hello here. I prepared some text also for this tutorial. So I actually want to entice people to sign up by providing a freebie. In this case, in marketing, it's usually called a lead magnet. And that can be anything of value, like a free ebook or a PDF, checklist, or maybe a video course, a very short video course that you have. Whatever the people will find useful, you can provide it here. And as long as it's digital, it's also easy to send out to them. So in my case, it will be an ebook. Here, get your free ebook. Great. a little bit too big though. I'm gonna select this text, and here on the right I can adjust the fonts. And let's say I don't like this font and I would like to have, like, for example, pop-ins like this. Then I can adjust the size, which is way too big right now, so I'm gonna make it something like this. Great. I can also adjust the color if I wanted, but actually I'm gonna adjust the background color of this block because it's a bit too bright for my liking. And you can also adjust the alignment of your text. So if it's center aligned or left aligned or right aligned, you can also make it all caps. The text becomes all caps. And then some spacing adjustments here, but in most cases you don't need these. Okay, looks great. Now next, what I can do is adjust this field. So I need the email address, that's for sure. But actually I want to add another field as well. So if I click on add here, first name, I want to add first name here. You see that on the left also the first name appeared. And what we can do is if we click on these 6 dots and drag it above the email address, then you have first name and then email address. I think that makes more sense. And just in case you don't want to say first name, you could say just name. But I like to be super clear about it, so I'll keep first name. And you can make the field required, which I will, because I want to address the people by their first name when I send out an email. Then you can also adjust the fonts for these fields. Pop-ins is actually quite great, but I'm going to increase the size here by just dragging this. Something like this should be fine. Then the style, we can change how the form itself looks like. You see now that the corners are quite rounded, but I don't actually like it. I want it to be a bit more straight. You can see they're just rounded at the edge like that, just at the end of them. So I like that much more. And then I want to add a fill color. I may. Okay, now it's kind of weird. I cannot see on top there, but white. I know the color code for white, which is hashtag 3Fs like this. And now it became white, but now I don't see my text, which I need to go back to fonts and change the color to black, this one. Okay, great. Now you can actually see what you need to fill in. Let's change the background color because now it doesn't make sense. It's too yellow for my taste. So if I click on this block itself, so I click here, I can actually change the background. I want to add something like brownish. Yeah, this looks great. But now you can see that the text is actually not so readable. So I'm going to change this to a black one. Like this. Okay, great. Okay, now I don't actually like this block. I don't think it's necessary, but you cannot just delete it. If I click on this, I cannot delete. You see, there's no way I can adjust it. So what I need to do now is to click anywhere in the background. And once you have the form selected, you have these preferences. If you disable it, you can see that those will disappear. Now, these preferences are useful for when you have a larger email list, and then you can segment people by their interest. If you're starting out, I wouldn't do this, at least like this, that people can choose. So I'm going to disable it. And here you can also show the image on mobile. Let's first add an image so I can show you what that means. So if I click on the image, you can upload the image. So let's click on that. And now if I choose the book itself, YouTube Tips ebook, yep. Now it'll upload here. Now it doesn't look that great, but we can adjust it slightly. I can choose the shape. So for example, in this case, it will be like this rectangle, much better. And now if I click again on the background and image on mobile. So if I enable that and go to preview this on mobile, you can see that the image appears on top, but that doesn't work. You can see that it's way too big. So actually I'm going to disable it. And that way, when I preview it on mobile, you can see that it's actually fitting the page itself on mobile. Now remember, this is the form, so it's not the email. So this will be on your website. Now there's some other options here for the form itself. You can choose this kind of effects here if you want to. And then you can choose the background color for this secondary. So the gray one can be any other color as well. I'm going to keep it as a solid color like this. And then you can adjust the width if you want to. I'm going to keep it as at the default one. You also have this message tab here. So let's click on it. And this shows up when somebody submits the form. So they fill in their details and submit it. You can actually thank them for subscribing. But there are a few default templates here. So you can choose. They just prepared some short text here. But you can also write something custom here if you want to. We're going to keep it to the friendly one like this. Okay, I'm gonna go back to form, and what I haven't updated yet is this get on the list. So basically the submission button. So if I click on it, you see button here. I'm gonna change the style to the same one as these fields. So, and I'm gonna change the color because the color itself, the white, doesn't work that well. So let's say a dark brown like this. No, that doesn't work. So maybe this one will work better. Yeah, I like that more. And now I can also change the border colors here if I want to, but I don't think it requires the border. But I do need to change the font in this case. And I want the color not to be yellow, but maybe a white one. So let's choose white. Yeah, that looks great. And then we just need to increase the size because it just doesn't show up that well. Okay, that was way too big, but something like this. Nice and visible. And maybe change the text to get it now. Okay, maybe no shouting there. Like this. And then you can also make it all caps if you want to. In my case, I like how it looks like right now. So once you're ready with your form, you just click on next here on top. And it will take you through a few steps to set up this form. So first of all, should we enable double opt-in? I would always choose no if you're new to this. Simply put, double opt-in means that the subscriber needs to confirm that they indeed intended to subscribe to your newsletter so that the software will send an extra email for that. Only once they click on a link in that email, they will become a proper subscriber. In some countries like Germany, this is a legal requirement, so make sure to check that. When starting out, I advise not to use double opt-in because mentally single opt-in feels better just because your subscriber rate is growing faster that way. And you can always change it to double opt-in later if you want for higher quality opt-ins. So just keep it at no here. I'm going to click on continue. You can also send an email to yourself when somebody subscribes. Now, if you're new to this, it can be exciting to get few emails for the first subscribers. But I expect actually to get 50 to 100 subscribers every day from my website. So I think that's way too many emails. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to select do not notify me, then continue. So after this form is submitted, display a success message, or you could also redirect to your URL. We already looked at the success message. In this case, it was thanks for subscribing or something like that. But in some cases, you might want to send them to a URL on your website or somewhere else. So I'm going to keep it as default and then click on continue. This is the code you need to place on your website for this to show up. Now, this will require a bit of copying some code into your website, but it's actually quite simple. This is my website where I would like to place this form. So I want to place it just here. Now, this depends on what website builder you're using, but pretty much all of them have this. So if you just search for HTML block or something to do with HTML or something like that, all you have to do is drag that block wherever you want the form to appear. And then, so all you have to do is go back to Flodesk and grab the script. So you just copy it. Now, it does say here that you should place this script in your head tag. Unfortunately, that really depends on your website builder, but I will show you a nice workaround if you plan to show this form only on a few pages. But in general, I do advise that you Google how to place scripts in your page builders or web host head tag. Just Google something like your page builder. So in my case, it's WordPress. WordPress, how to add scripts to head. And you should get an article how to do that. In most cases, it's possible. If not, then just follow these steps. So let's copy this code, then go to your page builder. And now we need to paste the code here like this. You see script, blah, blah, blah. And just make a bit of space here. So you go a few lines down by pressing enter. And then if you go back to Flodesk, you can copy the second code and then to go to Elementor and place that code here. So now you see div, blah, blah, blah here. And it immediately appears already in here in my page builder. So now if I save this and then I preview the changes, scroll down because it was at the bottom, you'll notice the form is here. And now I can type in my first name, Bob, and then an email address. And now get it now. You can see we have the success message here. Thanks, keep an eye on your inbox for updates. Now, this actually doesn't do anything right now. There's no email to send because we haven't created one. But in a few minutes, we should see this email address in Flodesk. I'll show you that also in a second. So back in Flodesk, and also there's some advanced options, but I think that's mostly for developers. So I'm going to skip that. Now, this is kind of the last page. You cannot go further than this. And I think it's weird that you cannot just press save or something and go back. But how it works in Flodesk, you just click on the logo here and then you go back to the forms. So now you can see that you have a form here. And if you click on this, if you click on these lines, you will see some statistics about it. Now, right now I have no opt-ins just because I haven't used it yet, but that makes sense. Before we create an email, let's set up some default settings just because it makes it easier later on. If you hover over this icon here, you can go to overview. And here you can fill in your name. Then choose the time zone if it's not correct already. So in my case, it's Central European time. It was already selected. Password, I'm not going to touch. So let's go ahead and click on email setup here on the left. Here we can set up the default sender name. So this will show up in the email itself from whom it came. So usually I advise you put either your first name or your first name plus your company. So for example, Robert from Tips with Punch, like this. We already have verified our email address, so we don't need to do that. Then let's click on domain setup. Domain verification is super important when it comes to email marketing and how well your emails reach the people. So we want to avoid that spam folder from Gmail and Outlook and actually go to inbox. And this is what helps us with that. But it's a bit technical, so I'm going to leave. So I'm going to show you how to do this at the end of this video. So if you're interested in that, you can just go into the video description and click on the timestamps there. But I'm going to show it later on. Then if you click on branding, you can choose a logo here. If you don't have already, you can just upload any logo you want to. I don't have one, so I'm just gonna upload myself there. And then we can choose the brand colors, and these colors will be available in your color palette later on when you create emails and stuff like that. So it just speeds up your process. So if you have already a logo, you can use logos colors as your brand colors. Let's click on the circle here. Now you need to enter a hex code. But if you don't know what that is or how to get it, you can now go to Google and search for hex color picker. And you already have here from Google this color picker. You can just choose the color you want. So let's say it's actually kind of bluish, and you can adjust here, and here you can see the hex code itself. So you could copy this now. There are also color pickers that you can just upload an image and then it will tell you what colors. If you hover over the image, you can actually pick a color and then it will tell you the hex code for that. But this is the quick way. I already prepared my hex colors. So I'm just going to place it here. And I'm going to add another one like this. Need to delete like this. Okay, great. Now I have two brand colors here and they will show up in the color palette later on. Next one is company details. And also add my website. Now you can see the form kind of jumps around just because it's saving the updates. So sometimes you just need to wait for it to save it and then you can continue. Next is company address, and there are certain rules about this one. So if you don't have a company address, then you can fill in your address or something close to it. If you don't want to add exact address, that's fine too. But I think there's certain anti-spam laws that you should add address to your email so that people know that you're real. So I'm gonna just add it like that. And then you can also add social links. For example, I have a YouTube channel. If I click on this, I can just add my URL to my YouTube channel, save it. And now it will also show YouTube wherever the social icons will appear. You can also add Instagram, Facebook, and so on. There are a few options here. Then at the bottom, if you have the premium plan, you can disable this Made with Love in Flodesk. Now, because I'm in trial, I cannot disable it. But if you just want to try out Flodesk, it's not a big deal to have it there for your first emails. Then you have opt-in setup. So let's go there. Next, you have the double opt-in email. If you enable this for your emails, then this is where you can also adjust the email itself. So This is the email you send to your subscribers to confirm that they actually want to sign up for that list. And then there's also a thank you page for if they do agree to double opt-in, then this is the thank you page as well. And if you scroll down, you also have some preference pages. And this basically shows up when people want to update their preferences, either unsubscribe or if they want to do anything in terms of subscription status. Then you have integrations. You can integrate this with Instagram, Shopify, and through Zapier, you can also connect it to other platforms. And this is a bit more advanced, but something to keep in mind that it's also possible. Then obviously you have plan and billing. And if you do choose to upgrade this, here is the place. You can then upgrade it. And now with my discount code, it's not 38, but you can see here that join now for 19 per month. That's the first year. Okay, let's go back to the dashboard by clicking on the logo. Now, before we continue, let's just add one member to the audience. So if you click on the audience, you can add a subscriber here. You can add it individually, or you can also upload a CSV. So with CSV, if you already have a list, you could upload it here. I would just use this download the sample so that you know what format they require. So in this case, they have a certain format, and then you can just kind of adjust your export and add them here. And you can use this as your template. They also mention here that will automatically clean duplicate email addresses from your list to avoid processing delays. Make sure your file includes permission data. So here you can see what that means. Now, just for us, for this example, we're going to create an individual because we need that for to send an email, test emails and stuff like that. So I'm going to add my own email address. And then Robert, I don't know the last names because I'm not going to ask for that. And I'm just going to add it to welcome segment. And then save. Okay, great. Now we have one active subscriber here. So now we can go to emails. Now we got the boring stuff out of the way. So let's actually create a basic email. And you do that in the emails section here. And then you can click on new email. And now you have a bunch of templates here. You can see that there's a lot of different kinds of templates. If they would load, okay. So there's a lot of templates, but what helps you is also they have certain tags here so that you can filter. For example, if you want to have share news, then you have a bunch of templates just for that. Now, if you don't want to use a template, then you can also start from scratch. You just click on this one here at the bottom. But let's see if there's something nice here. So for example, I like this one. I want to take a look at it. Let's preview it. Here, this is what you're going to get. And don't worry, if there's too much stuff, you can always delete some of these elements. But it looks good. And if you click on this mobile big icon, you can also view it on mobile. Okay, this looks great. Let's customize it. So this is the email builder in Flodesk. So if you click on anything here, so for example, this logo, this is actually a logo, although it's a picture of me, but that's what I uploaded in the settings. I actually don't need it. So if I want to delete it, I click on this element and then there's this trash icon here. So if I click on it, it will delete that element. Then if I click on this element, I can now adjust things inside here. So for example, if I want to upload an image, I click on the image and I can now here on the right, choose an image. So let's say I'm going to upload the same image here like this. And then you have some other settings in the image here on the right. You can zoom in, which doesn't make sense for this image. So I'm going to keep it as default. Then you have overlay effects. So if you want to have a little layer here on top, so it's not so bright, for example. So let me show you. You just increase the opacity and you can see it gets a bit darker. I'm just going to keep it to almost transparent. So like this. Okay. And here on the right, you can change the layout of this whole thing. So for example, if I'm not happy with this, I can just click on this template and now it changes everything. It changes my image and also keeps the text as the same if you've changed it at any point. And there's more templates here if you want to, but actually I kind of like what I had. So here at the bottom, there's undo button. So I'm just going to click on that and you can see it just goes back. So keep in mind there's undo and redo. Those are super useful while building these emails. Now, still, if I click on the image, there's also link section here. So I can link this image to any URL I want to. And then there's also a blog. So now you can flip the image and the text. Actually, right, I like it that it's on the right hand side, the image. And I can change the background of this block specifically. So if I want to make it a bit different, I can make it like this. Actually like it. And here are my default colors. We talked about that we need to set them up in the settings. Well, this is where it is. So now I can always just click on this if I'm looking for my colors. I like this one, so I'm gonna keep it. Then you have some padding adjustments here. So that means on top, if I add padding on top, it'll just add some space here. But I don't think it's necessary for this template. There's also accessibility settings here. It's just for people that are using screen readers. It just helps them to understand what's going on more if you describe your layout here. If I click on the text, I can now adjust it. So if I select it, hello, you can see that I can add anything to it. Let me change that to something more interesting. So I've already prepared text here. 5 tips for being natural on camera. So now I also want to add a bit of description text here. All I have to do is change it here. But you can see that it kind of didn't change the font. So I can now select this text. And I can adjust the size here. Just of this part of it. So 16. Don't go lower than 16 because then it's not really readable. A little dot there. Okay, great. And maybe I don't like this font. I'm going to select the whole thing. I'm going to change the fonts to something else. So for example, Futura. Let's say I like this one. All right, looks much better. But actually I want to make this one slightly bigger. And I don't need this gap. Okay, now this block starts to look great. So I'm going to keep it like this. And let's move on to the next one. And we have some text here. This is basically the text block. And again, I can just start typing here. And what's cool about text block is that you can actually add variables. So now let's say hello. Then I type @, and I can personalize this. So now I can choose a first name. And then this just means that this variable of first name will display the first name of the person that signed up. I hope that makes sense. So basically, whenever somebody uses my form to sign up, I ask for their first name. That way I know their first name and I can use it in an email. So this is like the variable that stores that name. And now if we don't know the first name, so it's not in the database of Flodesk, you could add something else that you would say you or friend or something like that. Or you just keep it empty. Let's insert it. So you can see that hello, first name. So in this case, if the person's name is Rachel, it would say hello Rachel, and then you can type in the rest of your text for that. So it makes it a bit more interesting for the person. It feels a bit more personal. Now, for this example, I don't need the text block, so I'm going to actually delete it. Same thing for this thing. Just click on it, delete. What I would like to show you is how to add some other elements here. So if you click on this plus, you can add other elements like layouts, image, video, or even a social link. I'm going to just show you how to add a video. So if I click on video, you can see that there's something happening here. So now click again on the video. You can add a YouTube link or Vimeo link here, and it will upload the thumbnail there. There's few settings you can do here. Again, you can zoom in, add the overlay effect here on the right, or if you go to block, you can show title. In this case, it's this white one here, which is already enabled. I'm going to disable it just because it's a bit in the way. And then you can adjust the background and the padding. Now, if anybody clicks on this video in the email, they will actually just land on YouTube and watch this video. So then we can delete this also. This block, I don't need it. So let's click on it, delete. Let's delete this one as well. And the third one. But I would like to add another layout. So here, elements, and if you click on layouts, you can choose what layouts to add here. On the right, you have many options again to choose layouts. So let's say I like this one. I can click on it, and it will just add it to this email. There are other options here. I can just scroll through it until I'm happy. So for example, this one or any other layout. I'm just going to delete this one because we don't need it. And maybe this one I'm going to delete as well. There are some of these divider blocks. You can delete those too. I don't think they're necessary. And I'll just keep this quote here, although it doesn't really apply to me, but it looks great there. Here you can see the social block. We already set that up in the settings. So now anytime this is added, you can see that my YouTube channel is also there. Here's my other settings that we already did. Then there's some global rules. So if you click outside the email, so if you click here on the left, you see that you have global styles. Here you could adjust the backdrop, so the color of this one, font colors. You can also add border or padding. And one more thing I want to mention is that we're looking at the desktop preview, but if you want mobile, you can also click on it and you can see how it looks like here. Always double check how it looks like on mobile, just because there's so many people using their mobile devices when viewing emails. Once you're happy with everything, you just can click on next here on the top right. And now I will ask a few questions. So first of all is, who's this email coming from? We already did that in settings, so it's going to come from Robert from Tips with Punch. So I can click on continue. Then we can type in the subject line. So just type that in. And then you can also display the preview text. Now the preview text is something that you see in Gmail, for example, like this here. You see this part is the preview text. By default, it will just grab the first text that's in the email, but you can also have it here. If you type it in here, it will display that text first. All right, and click on continue. Then we need to choose the recipient. We're gonna add the segment. So here you can choose the segments. So I'm gonna include, for example, the welcome flow and save it. If it doesn't let you save, it's because you don't have any subscribers yet. All you have to do is add here an individual. So for example, you could just add yourself, just add your email here. So if I start typing Robert at, you can start adding an individual here. And now it says one recipient chosen. So in this case, because we only have one person in the email list, that's the person who's going to receive this email. And if you click on continue, it will ask you, when should we send the email? You could send it immediately, or then you can also send it later. You can choose the date and then the time. Best time for morning. These are a bit weird, like at 5 a.m. an email. So I would just choose a custom time and choose whatever time you think is the best. For example, somewhere in the morning, but maybe not at 5 a.m. And then you can save it. Just keep in mind they will use your time zone to schedule this email. But once you're ready, you can schedule it like this. Double check the time and click on schedule if you want it to go out. For now, I'm not going to do that, and I'll just click on cancel. Oh, by the way, later when you have subscribers, you can send yourself test emails by clicking on this send a test in the top right corner. Let's go back to the dashboard by clicking on the logo. Okay, next let's take a look at workflows, which is probably the most useful part of having an email marketing software like Flodesk. So just create a new workflow. You have few templates. There's only 4 of them right now here. They're not that useful because they're quite short, but they can get you started. So let's use the lead magnet delivery. Then you can preview the workflow here, or the email in the workflow, but this doesn't really matter because we're going to change it a lot. And workflows start simply by adding a trigger. So if you click on this one, trigger, and you choose here, begin this workflow when a subscriber is added to a segment. And now we can choose a segment, which in this case would be welcome. So whenever somebody joins the welcome segment, then we're going to start this workflow. And the first thing we do is immediately as somebody joins, they're going to receive the freebie because that's what they came for. That's why they sign up for our newsletter. If I click on this first email, we can now choose email here. So we can edit the email. We can edit the sender, subject line, and preview text. So let's say I'm going to now first update the subject line like this. And then if I would like to add preview text, but for now, I don't usually do that. And let's go ahead and edit the email itself. So I can just click on it. And it's asking here, they have some sort of a new flexible layouts. Yes, let's switch to new layouts. And again, let's delete those parts that are not useful. So for me, I'm not going to need the logo. So I'm going to click on it. just delete it by clicking this icon. And this title, I don't think I'm gonna use it. It just doesn't fit my needs right now. So let's delete it. This divider, although it's very cute, just gonna delete it. And the text I will keep. And this part I'm gonna change. So I'm gonna click into this, and in the layouts, I'm able to change it to something else. So for example, I could choose this one, and then it will show up. But I think I'm gonna keep it super simple. No layouts, just gonna delete it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a button here. So let's do that. Add a button like this one. And now I'm gonna change this button. First of all, the text like this. And I'm gonna change the rounded corners again. So there's a little bit like that. Fill color and border color, actually, they're fine for me. I could change it to a bit using my color palette like this one. And then I would need to change, obviously, the fonts as well. So let's make the font a bit bigger. And then also change the color itself, because you cannot really see it now. So I'm gonna add black text like this. Okay, cool. The one thing, I do want to add the border color so that it's black or something, because now I think it would be more visible like that. Yes, like that. Great. Now we can go and link this button to something. You could just link it to a page on your Google Drive or Dropbox. But the cool thing is that Flodesk actually also allows you to attach a file. So I'm going to attach a file and upload a PDF book that I have. So it's this one. So if I upload it, if somebody clicks on this button, they will be able to actually download the ebook directly from Flodesk. I obviously need to change the text here as well. So prepare the text like this. And I want to address them by first name. So I'm gonna type @ and then choose the first name, and not gonna add anything if it's unavailable, like this. So in this case, it will be like, Stacy, I'm so happy you're interested in the YouTube Growth ebook. This looks good now. I'm gonna delete some of the spacers here. They're just not needed, so that the email starts from the top, like this. Okay. No, I'm gonna delete all of them like this. There's some elements here. I don't think I'll need them. Like for example, Instagram. Again, just delete those that you don't need. Okay, now the email looks great. It's straight to the point, because in the end, that's what the people want. They want their ebook and not so much blah, blah, blah talking about what you want. This is just a very transactional email. They gave you their email, so you're going to deliver them the ebook or the freebie that you choose. Let's preview this on mobile. Always check how it looks like on mobile. Okay, great. I like that. And now I think I'm ready, and I'm going to finish this email. All right, so this email will be sent out whenever somebody joins this segment. Now, after we send out this email, and if you click on this plus and choose time delay, you can adjust here. I'm gonna wait for 3 days, and you could change this to a certain period of time. Instead, you could say a certain day of the week or a certain time of the day. But usually you just wait for a few days and then you do something. So for example, after 3 days, I want to check that if they actually downloaded this ebook. So if you click on this plus, you can add a condition. Condition just means you state a condition. If it's true, then it will follow this flow. And if it's false, then it's going to follow into the no. Condition in this case will be take an action if subscriber is in a segment. But no, we actually want to have subscriber open a workflow email or subscriber has clicked on a link. So let's click that one. And then we choose the email. Basically, it's this email here above. And then it loads for a bit, but you can now choose the link itself. And in this case, it's this one because we uploaded a PDF file. You can see it's .pdf also. So this is the link. Now, if somebody clicks on download the ebook, that means they're going to go into the yes flow. If they didn't, they probably didn't open the email or they didn't download the book. So I want to remind them that, hey, actually, you didn't download the book, or just say like a reminder, hey, here's your ebook again. So let's create an email for that. So here's the email. I'm going to select the email. You can duplicate an existing email, but that's a bit weird because you need to take it from emails you've sent out before. So let's create a new one. You can choose the template here. I'm just gonna start from scratch. So let's give it a name. Just like a question. Did you receive the YouTube Growth book? Now we would update this email. I'm not gonna do it during this tutorial, but you would just update it as any other email. I'll click on finish. And now you can see that this email will go out once if this condition is true. So if they didn't click on the link, then this email will go out. But if they did click, then I want them to receive other emails. So let's say I'm going to send an email, which will create a new one. I'm just going to send some useful tips for growing on YouTube. So again, just going to start from scratch because this example, I'm going to save it and finish immediately. So this email will go out. After this email goes out, I'm going to wait another 2 days. So let's change that like this. Add a delay, 2 days. Okay, great. Then I'm going to send one more email with information. Also, this is a great opportunity to introduce yourself to your audience. So not only sending great information, but maybe also talk about yourself, what you do, and how can you bring value to your subscribers. Okay, again, just creating a quick email here, so just nothing fancy like this. And now after this email has been sent, I will add a delay again, so time delay, wait for 3 days, and now I can send out my offer because now I've given 3 times something of value. Now I can say, hey, here's my offer. I have a video course about YouTube and I think you will find it valuable. Again, create an email, create a new email. So from scratch. And finish. All right. So this is like a welcome flow where also at the end there's an offer. But after this, I want them to join the normal newsletter. So let's add that. After this email, we're gonna take an action and we're gonna add subscribers to our segment. And now we need to choose the segment. We only have welcome, but I'm gonna create a new one, newsletter. And here you can have an option to create a newsletter segment like this. So we're gonna add them to subscribe to segments and we're gonna delete them. So another action, we're gonna remove them from the welcome flow like this. So they will just switch from welcome to newsletter. And that's it for this flow. Now, obviously you would need to continue with this one. So if they didn't open it and they didn't open it again, you could create some flows for that. This is just an example of how you can use workflows for your advantage, because now every time somebody signs up for your newsletter, they can go through this loop and there's a possibility for you to introduce yourself and also add an offer or sell something to them at the end of this sequence. And once they're done with this sequence, they'll just join the normal newsletter that you send out maybe once a week or whatever is your frequency. Okay, so once you are happy with everything, you can just click on publish here on top. And you can now publish this workflow. Now, I cannot do it for some reason. It's saying your free trial has expired, although I just joined today, but I think it's something to do because I've used this email before. Once you've published it, you can just go back to the dashboard by clicking on this logo. Okay, as I mentioned before, now we're going to create another form. In this case, we're going to create a pop-up. So let's do that. Create a new form. And I'm going to select a template for pop-up. And in a bit, I'm going to create also a full page. So for pop-ups, let's take a look what looks good. I want to keep it quite simple. So I think actually I like this one. This is quite traditional way of displaying this. So now we need to choose a segment. I'm going to always just put them in a welcome email flow. So save. And as I already showed with other elements, you can start updating this. So if you're not happy with this text, you can type anything you want here. Hello. If you already have text, you can just copy paste it here. I'm just gonna add like this so it looks better. Add a sub text here. Yes. Then if you click on this field, we're gonna add more fields. So let's click on add here on the right, first name. And again, I'm going to click on these 6 dots and just drag this up here above the email address. And these will swap places now. I want to change the style also. I'll just add the same rounded corners as for the other elements I've done so far. fill color, I can change to white. And maybe the border color can be a bit stronger, so maybe like this. Cool, looks great. I could change the fonts, maybe increase it slightly so that it's more visible. Just don't overdo it. And now I think I'm gonna change the button itself. So if I click on the button, I'll change the borders again. And the fill color, I have my own color here, so I'm gonna choose that one. And also for the border colors, I'm gonna choose something dark so it looks nicer. Yep, that looks good. Now I need to change the font because now the text doesn't show up. Let's change that to dark like this. And just need to increase the size a little bit so it's readable. Maybe even make all caps like this. Let's change the image by clicking on the image here on the left. And now we can upload an image. I'm just gonna upload my ebook like this. Okay, it looks good. And then I think I wanna change the background color here. So I just click anywhere here in the pop-up, just like on the white part. And now I can change the color. So I'm gonna change it to brownish like this. Oh, I actually changed this color. That wasn't the point. I can maybe change that to a dark one. So this is going to be like an overlay, a pop-up over your website. So you can make it dark like this and then just reduce the opacity a little bit. So it doesn't, you can see still your content behind it. And the canvas is actually this part. So I'm going to change that one to look a bit more like skin. But now the button doesn't show up so well. So maybe I actually going to keep it as wide as before, like this. And let's take a look how it looks like on mobile. So this is the pop-up. Okay, very simple and straight to the point. I think I'm happy with this layout. So now if I click on next here on top, there'll be more questions that Flodesk asks. And this is where we set up the pop-up itself, the logic behind it. So first of all, should we enable double opt-in? As mentioned before, I would not recommend if you're new. So let's keep it no. Then display this pop-up immediately. After 10 seconds, after 30 seconds, or when visitor scrolls 30%. I would not choose this one just because it's kind of annoying if it pop-up appears immediately as you land on the page. So I would choose after 30 seconds, so they have a bit of time to scroll around the website. Okay, and then continue. Should we show this to return visitors who already subscribed? I would choose no, because if they already subscribed, what's the point showing it? So continue. When subscribers opt in to this form, notify me, so you're gonna get an email when anybody signs up. I will not choose that because I think it's annoying if you expect a lot of subscriptions every day, 50 or something, you're gonna get 50 emails, so it's not very convenient. And then if I click on continue, after this form is submitted, display a success message or redirect to URL. So we're gonna just display the success message. Let's continue. And now we have this pop-up, and all we need to do is add this script to the head part of your website. Now, this really depends on the page builder you're using or the CMS you're using. In WordPress, for example, you can just install a plugin that then will place code in your head tags. And I have a video how to do that. You can find it in the description also. If you want the pop-up to show up on many pages, then I would actually just install it in the head section. But for now, I'm gonna just copy this code. And I'm going to go to my website. Here's my website. And I want to add the pop-up code anywhere on the page. Doesn't matter because it's not going to show up wherever you add it. So for example, here at the bottom, what I can do is add HTML. So here, HTML block. Again, in your page builder, it might be called slightly differently, but usually it's something to do with HTML. So I'm going to drag it here. And now I can, in this code block here on the left, I can place the code. Now you won't see anything because it only happens after 30 seconds you land on the page. So if we try it, let's update this. And if I preview this page, you can see I have some other form here. This is from another one. Now if I wait for 30 seconds, the pop-up should show up. So I'll wait for that. As you can see, it appeared now, but just remember, because we install it only on this page, it's not going to show up on all pages. So that's why you need to install that script into your head tags. You can just Google how to do it for your web host or your CMS. And usually there's instructions how to do it. So let's go back to the pop-up builder. So now we've installed this code. When you want to get out of here, you can just click on the logo again here on the top left. Okay, now here we have two forms. We have the pop-up and inline with inline form here. As the last option, we also have, if we click on new form, we have a full page. And the great thing about full page is that you don't need to have a website to actually collect emails, because it's going to be on Flodesk's servers. So basically Flodesk will host this for you, and you can just send people there. If I click on full page, we can now choose one of these examples. So let's say I actually like this one. I'm going to customize it. Again, we're going to choose a segment. I'm going to choose the welcome segment in this one, because I want everybody who joins the list first go through the welcome sequence. Now you might have multiple welcome sequences. Then you can really target the emails for specific purpose. So for example, I don't know, if you have recipe website, you could have one for vegans, one for keto dieters, or whatever that is. You can really specify those things. For now, just use the welcome and save it. And this is the full page form. So I'll upload an image by clicking on this image and upload image. Just gonna add the same book cover here, like this. Cool. And then update the title. Again, you can just select the text and you could start typing. I'm just gonna use something I prepared, like this. Again, I want to add also some text here. You can select this text and add my text instead. Now, this form already has first name and email address. That's great, but I don't like the colors here, so I'm going to change it. I'm going to choose the form here. I'm going to make also the first name field required. And then let's change the fonts. I think I'll make it slightly bigger. Then I'll change the font because I don't like it. I would keep the font consistent everywhere. Just choose one or two fonts that you use everywhere. So for example, one font for the title and one font for the text, and then just be very consistent with it. So I'm going to use Poppins, for example, and instead of blue, I think I'm going to make it black, like this. I'm going to remove the all caps. I don't think it's needed. And then in the style, we can now adjust the corners again and make it white, with white background like that. Just more visible that way. I think I'm going to change the button also. Let's change the style first. And also the color, and make it again my brand color, like this one. Completely unreadable now, because we need to change also the font here to black. Okay, good. I think I'm missing the borders, so I'm going to change the border color to black. Like that. If I want, I can also increase the border thickness here, just to the button becomes even more visible. Now, I'm not really happy with this color either, so I'm going to change the title color. Again, just going to keep it simple, black, and also the subtext. If I click on this background here you can adjust some settings. So for example, preferences, you could add these options here if you want to. I don't usually use these, and I think they're more useful once you have a lot of different segments for different kind of purposes. I think for now, this is not very commonly used. You just want the first name and email address, not complicated. I'm going to change the background to just keep it white or maybe grayish like this. No, I'll just keep it white. Here you can adjust the width if you want to. So if you want to make it a bit larger, that's fine. I think it looks good like it is. And then the message part, you can adjust once they sign up for the form, or once they added their first name and email, what do we say? So for example, here you can see, thank you for subscribing. I could now change it here to something more direct or casual. These are like templates. And then you can also in custom type in your own message. You can use direct. Okay, that's about it. I think I'm happy with what I see here. So if I go back to form, yeah, I like how it looks like. Actually, no, there's a blue border lines here. So let's click into the form, and in the style, I'm going to change the border color to just black. And now I can just go and check on mobile how it will look like. Okay, get your free ebook. Now this template is quite simple, so you cannot add much more to this. So please, for landing pages, choose your template carefully, because that also kind of limits you what you can do. Because in this landing page builder, you cannot add more elements, unfortunately. Not for now, at least. Okay, So I'm happy with what I can see now. If I click on next, it'll ask me a few questions. So again, should we enable double opt-in? As mentioned before, just keep it as no if you're new to this. Let's continue. When subscribers opt in to this forum, do not notify me. I don't want to hear if they come. I'll just check once a day or so. And then after this form is submitted, display the success message. And click on continue. Now you can share this form. So if you copy this URL, and you can open even incognito window, so it doesn't, the fact that you're logged in, it doesn't affect it. Now you can see that this page is what people will see. Now you can share this URL with anybody, and if they come here and they want the free ebook, they would add their first name and their email address. And if I click on download, now you can see you've successfully signed up. Check your email for details. Our workflow would start working, so we will send them the book and other steps we did earlier. Let's close this down, and once you're happy with everything here, you can just click on this Flodesk icon. As a last step, let's verify that we actually own the domain name. This is a bit technical, but it will significantly improve our email deliverability because it just makes it more legit, and you will avoid the spam folder in Gmail and Outlook. It doesn't guarantee it, but it does increase the chance that you end up in inbox instead of spam if you do this. So let's go and hover over this icon here, and then we go to domain setup. Click to verify your domain. Let's get started verifying your domain. Let's get started. Yes. You can choose here what's your domain provider. They do list here the most common ones. So just choose your one. The steps are very similar, but it just changes where you update things. In my case, I'm using Cloudflare. That's where my domain name is pointing. So I'm going to choose that one and then click on continue. Okay, now I need to update the DNS settings. Every domain registrar and web hosting has this. It's just in different places. For Cloudflare, you simply go to DNS. And now you can update here your DNS settings. So what they're saying here is that we need to create a new CNAME. This is the record name. We can copy now the name. Go here and add a record. We choose here CNAME. And again, works pretty much the same for all domain registrars. I'm going to paste the name that we copied earlier. I'm going to go back to Flodesk and copy the data as well. Go back to Cloudflare, and this is the target. Yeah, I'm going to copy paste it there. And for Cloudflare specifically, you need to disable the proxy status. I'm going to disable it like this. And then save it. Then we need to create another record. CNAME again, like this. And go back to Flodesk and copy the second one here. Let's copy it. The name. That's the name. And I go back to Flodesk and copy the data as well. So back to Cloudflare, and here in the target, I'm going to paste what I just copied. Again, disable the proxy status for Cloudflare. Let's save this like this. Now you can see those two are at top here. So if you click on continue, you can see that the magic is happening now. Now, depending on your domain registrar, this process is not immediate. So you might have to wait for 5 or 10 minutes, or in some cases, even 24 hours. So that's what they explain here, that you might even wait for 5 days to see if it went through. But usually it's quicker than that. So if I click on now and finish, you can see that view the pending records if you want them, but now it's just saying pending. And I waited like a minute or so and then refreshed this page, and you can see that it's verified now. And that's great. Now our domain is verified, and also the Gmail and Outlook and other email providers know that we are legit. We actually own this domain name. Whoa, great job with learning how to use Flodesk. Now, when starting out, email marketing can be a bit intimidating. That's why I've created this video right here, where I will give you my top email marketing tips. With these tips, I'm able to get about 500 email subscribers every month.